in the comments of my last video said that Horus's right eye was the morning star. Now, it's hard to understand exactly what that means, but I do remember in the book of Revelation it says that Jesus will give the morning star to he that overcomes, or something like that. I'm pretty sure it's something that is given by the Christ to someone very special. But what exactly is the morning star? Like, this person said it was Horus's right eye. Now, like the mark of Horus, right? Like the all-seeing eye, the evil eye, whatever you want to call it. That, if that is the morning star, I mean, I have that in my forehead in the spiritual realm. I've recorded that many times. And maybe it is like a spiritual gift of some sort. I always assumed it was like a title or like a weapon. But thinking about it, like, maybe it is an ability that he gives to people who are, I guess you'd say, like, on the right track. I don't know. But it is a very interesting comment. It's making me think, like, because, I mean, technically, the things that I'm seeing, right, could be that I'm seeing it because I have the morning star, and the morning star is an ability to see beyond the veil. I'm not really sure. I'm just like guessing. It's very, very strange, because, like, you know, if that's true and it's his right eye, right? Like, it says that the Antichrist's right eye will be completely darkened, right? So maybe it's because that he's given the morning star, and it takes over his eye, because either he misuses it, or it's just part of the game, part of the story. Using divinity while you're in the flesh will cause horrible deformities to the flesh. That I've already considered that because of the story of Moses, right? Like, most people don't get it, but like, Moses had horns. He did. Okay, it wasn't beams of light coming out of his head. It was horns, and his face was bad. It looked bad. Okay, that's why he had to wear a veil over his face, because his face was corn, it said, which means extremely horrifying deformation, right? Like, so I'm assuming because he looked at God directly, it messed up his face, right? Like, when you think about what is holy light, well, it's kind of like radiation, right? But just pure. So let's say you stared into pure radiation, right? Like, you let it touch your skin, it enveloped yourself, right? It would most likely cause horrible mutation, like, instantly, right? Like, when you see this in movies, the people, like, start spewing pus and bubbling up and all this because of radiation, and eventually they just get fragged from the inside out. So I'm thinking it could be that, and not just the eye, right? Because it also says, I've been thinking about this a lot, about the Antichrist's right arm. It says it'll be clean dried up. Okay, it doesn't say that his arm is going to be paralyzed. It doesn't say that his arm is going to be crippled. It says clean, dried up. Okay? Like you can kind of look at our reality and look at what Jesus was showing John in the vision of the future, right? And you could kind of put two and two together, okay? He wasn't guessing the future. He was in the future, and then he went back in the spirit and showed John what he saw, okay? So what he saw was our future, most definitely. There is no changing that, okay? The story runs the way the story runs. There's no getting off track here, okay? Like, I know people think you have free will and it's kind of part of the story and everything, but I mean, you can't stop what's coming, okay? Like individual free will can't alter the storyline, okay? So I'm thinking that his dried up, clean dried up right arm is from the vaccine, because he's a normal person and then he gets messed up. It says the sword takes his eye and his arm, but the sword just means violence or war or consequences of sin, okay? So if you know what it does, then you could kind of guess that eventually it takes the water out of you. And if it's concentrated, let's say, okay, you have the power to do something, right? Let's say God gives you divine power, okay? So much so that, like it says about the Antichrist, that he has the power to call down fire from the sky, okay? So I think he does this not with his mind and not with simple words, but he actually uses his flesh, right? Like he holds up his arm and commands it to happen. So I think that doing that will actually cause the flesh to dry up, right? And same thing with his eye. He's going to use the eye, if it's the Morningstar, he's going to use it to so much so that it will eventually turn completely black. I don't know if that means that it won't be usable, like he'll be blind in one eye or not, but I do know that it means that it will be completely darkened, right? And when it talks about your one eye being light or dark and what it does to your body, you know, you can kind of put two and two together. And maybe that is exactly what it's talking about, okay? Good comment.